So with the Shiny Force collab nearing its end, we can now move on to the next major update. 2 new characters will be introduced like always, and what's even interesting is that they actually appeared in the Shiny Force story event, and they are Nymph and Tatalia. I think it's pretty nice seeing that so that they aren't pushing themselves too much putting out these story chapters in order to actually introduce these playable characters. It has happened a few times, like with Kaguya for example, where we were actually first introduced to her in a fun little side event. I'm certain that it was. But let's break away from that topic and get into the characters. We got Nymph. She is someone who has a similar sense like with Mariendo, but with a bit more unique aspect towards her. And what's even crazy about her is that she's an aquatic unit, if it wasn't obvious by her design. But wait until you guys see what she does. She is part of the Princess, Meteor, and Euless faction. Her talent increases her int when she has buffs, and at the start of the map, allies within 1 block of her get Wondrous Bubble that reduces their AoE damage taken and has a 50% chance of getting a buff. Every time she uses her skills 3 times, after taking action, she's able to reapply her bubble, which only lasts for 3 turns, that can be dispelled and is removed after taking AoE damage. Honestly, that doesn't sound too bad, except for the part where she has to reactivate it. It already sounds time consuming, unless she gets to act again frequently, which might not happen all the time. For her bonds, you just need to unlock her classes and have her banner partner, Tatalia. Oh, and both of the banner characters will need each other for their bonds, just a heads up. Her 1C heals herself and the target ally within 3 blocks. That gives a buff where you heal after taking damage that lasts for 2 turns. Afterwards, she gets Tidal Surge for 2 turns, and if the target ally she heals is an aquatic, they will also get Tidal Surge. A pretty nice bonus for some common aquatic units like McLean and Archon, but it's mainly a great thing for her since she's an aquatic unit, meaning that she will be physically tanky. Her 2C is a single target that reaches 3 blocks long, and soldiers will also attack with her. If the enemy survives, they get a debuff where the movement is considered in water for 2 turns, and another buff where they take fixed damage and to their team if they are within 1 ring, which cannot be dispelled and also lasts for 2 turns. Not all that bad for a single target skill, but that extra range makes this a bit more bearable. Combine that with the Scepter, which will be the big thing that will help her compete with some of the other long range magic attackers. She has another 2C which is an AoE that reaches 5 blocks long and 3 blocks wide. It attacks and dispels 1 debuff from the enemy, while also healing your teammates while dispelling 1 debuff from your team. I think it's nice seeing an AoE that does something to both the enemies and your team. I don't think we had something like that in a while. The only person on top of my head that I can really think of who has something similar is young Jessica, who was really potent at first release. But the thing about this one is that it mainly encourages you to use this more as a support rather than really attacking with it. And another big problem about this one is that it's hardly even doing anything. Not to mention too, the positioning can be awkward if you really need to heal with it. It's the only AoE skill in their kit, and I feel like it needs a little bit more for it to actually be a lot more usable. And with the 3C, it has a 5-turn cooldown that's used on herself that reaches 3 blocks around her. You're able to get an extra stack of her talent and heals her allies. You'll also get a damage increase buff for 2 turns, then she gets another buff for herself that heals her team within 2 blocks. After ending her turn for 2 turns, she'll get a unique buff called Aria, where all enemies on the map have a chance to get Slumber every time they take action. What it does is that they just can't act and wears off after being attacked, which the debuff only lasts for 2 turns. Aria can't be dispelled and can only activate 4 times each time that you use it. The chances of the effect increases the closer the enemy is towards Nymph, that goes up to 100%. I'll say that getting another bubble makes that problem a bit more helpful. The main issue will be that long cooldown, but I really do like the idea of Aria though. It really makes anyone who tries to approach you feel more pressured, especially to anyone who relies on a act again skill. I feel like the cooldown of this 3C is justified because of that, which becomes even better the longer you drag on the battle in PvP, because eventually you will have to engage really close. Speaking of which, that will be the main issue about Nymph. She really wants to be able to spam her skills in order to have her talent buff ready to be used, and she can hardly even make use of Clock, because you have two skills that are more of a support, and then you're gonna have one skill that is used for attacking. In PvE, it's a lot more understandable, but her healing capability, it's really inconsistent, so don't try to ever rely on her for that purpose alone. You'll want another healer with her to make it a little bit more bearable. At least her survivability will be good due to her being an aquatic unit, so physical attacks really got nothing against her and is able to use their last rites. Everything about her sounds good on paper, but in reality, she's gonna struggle doing the things that she wants to do, like reapplying her bubble effect, which is really time consuming, but mainly she's not gonna bring you a lot of value. She almost kind of reminds me of Mariando, but Mariando does so much more when it comes to attacking and healing, because she has the skills that complement her talent a lot more effectively, whereas with Nymph, you're forced to play it patiently with her. If you're thinking about getting Nymph, I wouldn't recommend it since she'll barely give you what you need from her, except maybe her bubble being useful in some situations. So if you're focused mainly on PvP, I wouldn't really bother with her, but in PvE, you can honestly make her work. You just won't run her 3C most of the time. And of course, you don't have to listen to me. If you like the character for whatever the reason it may be, then go ahead and summon for them. Her bandmate, Tatalia, is someone that I'm really looking forward to. She is part of the Dark, Meteor, and Mythical faction. Her talent increases her attack and crit rate when entering battle, then afterwards, she deals fixed damage to the target and to other enemies diagonal of them, while applying one debuff. After taking action, she can select one enemy to inflict Detect Eye, where if they use a skill on their allies, it applies some debuffs that last for 3 turns, which cannot be immunized or be dispelled, and you must wait 3 turns to use it again. By the way, Tatalia is an assassin who can inflict lots of debuff, while having some other useful stuff to help her offensive capability. Her talent effect has a similar sense with Kruger 3C, but I'll go over more of that in a little bit. For the bonds, she will need Theon and Nymph will also need Tatalia for her bonds. Her 1C causes the enemy with Detect Evil and any enemies within one ring of them to get 2 debuffs. She can act again by moving 3 blocks, and buffs on her do not lose their turn duration. Any assassins with the act again skill makes them incredibly deadly, since it gives them a better approach at sniping someone out. So weakening enemies like being lucky to apply a defense down can be pretty nice if RNG is on your side. It's a good thing, but that cooldown is honestly criminal. She has a 2C that ignores guard then steals a buff after battle. A pretty simple skill that isn't above and beyond. She also has another skill, Calamity, which could be better since you are able to steal 2 buffs before battle, which might be more worth of your value. Then finally her 3C, a 3-turn cooldown that can reach 3 blocks long. It has a passive where she can't be killed when actively attacking, meaning that she just revives. If there's any enemies within 3 blocks with Detect Evil, she takes 15% less damage. This 3C is a single target that has a 30% crit rate increase that ignores guard, and ranged soldiers will also attack with her. The damage multiplier of this 3C will be the same as the target's strongest single target skill, from 1.3 being the lowest up to 2 times. Then she restores 30% HP as damage dealt. When it comes to attacking, she will be the best assassin at doing that. That passive is extremely good. For those who don't understand too much about PvP, a lot of times, a lot of mages will run something like Drop Near and Crystal Warlock. These are what people will run quite often for counter killing, because they do reflect ranged attacks. Specifically the Drop Near, the Crystal Warlocks only reflects physical attacks. They'll take each other out, or in some cases, the attacker will die from the reflect damage. So with Tatalia, you are able to run it risky, cause even if she does die while attacking, she'll just simply revive and is able to heal herself. And the range on this is great. Plus with the Lurker's bow, she can reach up to 4 blocks in total with this. And this just makes it insane because this 3C ignores guard. A 4-range skill that ignores guard. That is scary. Plus with the additional fact that she has an act again skill, while automatically applying some debuffs, she is someone that you're going to be afraid of. Having said that, she does have some problems like relying on someone to give her an attack boost. Also someone like Lostham and Diehard will be able to perform better than her. When it comes to attacking, yes, she is better, but Lostham and Diehard will do you more justice since they can buff themselves offensively and their mobility being more dominant. If you aren't able to buff up Tatalia, then she's gonna rely on those debuffs to get more damage out of her, and will have a hard time getting around on certain maps. Like for example, on a map with lots of water, like the ship one. Tatalia isn't even bad, but when you compare her with someone like Lostham and Diehard, they offer a lot more for themselves that makes them quite self-sufficient for what they want to do and are more easier to use. Tatalia is someone who's more focused on PvP, so make sure that she has someone that she can synergize with like Ironblood Commander and she'll do some work. She just can't move again after attacking like the other two unless you carry her passive skill, meaning that you'll just have her 3C for attacking, which is probably all you need. We got 2 new exclusives. One is for Lostham, a helmet that gives 10% increased crit rate for 1 turn when he activates his 3C passive. And if he's on a desert tile, he can activate the passive on his 3C. The desert map is a place where he really dominates, but in general, any map with lots of defensive terrain is where he'll always be great at. 10% increased crit rate is nice, but most of the skills that he usually runs with already gives quite a lot of crit rate. I feel like they didn't know what to really give him, and at the same time, they were trying to not make him even more insane than he already is. It's alright, but you don't really need it though, since Lostham likes to engage with his at the again skill that already puts him in a defensive tile. The other one is for Langrisser. That's also a helmet. If she deals no damage at the end of her turn, that increases her int and skill range that goes away after dealing damage. It's really nice since she'll basically have her max range after the first turn to get that full range effect, which adds more when at max talent stacks. Having that extra range is really useful more than you realize, especially when she has AoEs that can be affected by it. In regular content, you don't really have to get it, but in PvP, it can make a difference. For the 4 caching skills in this update, one is for Akka that boosts her attack and int and gets a damage boost when a wolf dies for 1 turn. Sounds nice, but most of the time, I've ever seen Akka be more used to buff her team, and have I ever rarely get to see Akka doing any real damage. If she got something with a bit more support, then that'll help, but I don't really see this doing anything for her. Second is for Alpha, which gives more attack and defense that gives her immunity to passive disabled, and her 3C does 10% more damage. This is a must-have for her, if you still use her, because similar situation with Landius is that their revive is tied behind a passive. So if you want to keep that, then I highly recommend getting it. Third is for Tsubame. It gives her more attack and skill after she does damage to an enemy while having hide. The cooldown of that skill is reduced by 3. It may sound weird at first, but as someone who used to use her, if you consider what her playstyle is like, then you're gonna realize that it's actually pretty useful. The last one is Serena that gives her more HP and defense. If Wilder is on the map, her counter range increases. I hate this. I really do hate it. I just don't like how, in order to make that character function just even a little better, they need to have certain characters with them. The problem with it is that it can really limit your character options, especially since you can have better options. It's not even that amazing anyways. Thank God only a few characters have something like this, which are bad or kinda alright. If anything, you'll really only get this just for the stats increase, which can benefit Serena quite a bit. Right when the update goes live, we will be getting our 8th component. That's right, our 8th one. So we got one more left after this one, and that should be the end of it. This 8th component is called Loki. And sadly, I don't have a official translation, nor do I know how it looks like, so we're gonna have to rely on the rough translation. This component is more focused on the magic side of things. Its talent applies usurpation when allies actively attack to deal damage. That's all. Quite underwhelming, but there's more to it though. The first skill that it carries, transform it into any non-summon ally on the map that refreshes skill cooldown and copies the HP and stats, then acts again. It's been a while since we got a transformation unit like Ferikia, or what am I be saying? She's able to change her class into any enemies that she hits. But still, I feel like they could expand more on that though. And it looks like it doesn't waste its turn duration when it acts again, so that's actually pretty good. Its second skill is a passive that gives it a shield, more damage increase, and what I'm gonna assume is that allies have the support skill be reduced and can deal a bit more damage, and allies within 3 blocks of its command have the damage taken be reduced after guarding for 2 turns. Not too sure about all of that, so we're gonna have to wait and see what it actually does when it drops. The third skill is a command that has a chance that the enemy will deal 70% less damage before battle. I worded it that way because it wouldn't make sense if the enemy does the opposite. When you summon Loki, it can spawn within 5 blocks of your teammates that does AoE damage to inflict usurpation. In order to get more energy, you just need to apply some debuffs. If you guys want to know more about what usurpation does, these are all the stuff that it can do. It gives them some of the following effects, some good, some that helps them just a tiny bit I think. Before, I used to think that it actually transformed the component, but right now, I feel like it actually transformed the enemy, or gives them a hard debuff. Also, the probability for the enemy to gain one of these effects is a 50% chance. It should be. They may not be 100% fully accurate, but it should give you guys an idea. So pause the video if you guys want to read them, but if you're already caught up right now, then good on ya. We can keep going. We only got one new banner. A wishlist banner that lets you select 2 characters for a better rate, which only goes up to Polly and Lugner, which I believe should appear in the second week. With the new content we should be getting, the main story Act 3 chapter 36 to 40 will be unlocked, as well as the Endless Voyage, which will appear the next week after the update goes live. Unless they do it right when the update goes live, which is a thing that can happen because Global sometimes likes to do things a bit different. Some other interesting stuff that you guys might like is this martial art thing that I can never figure out its name. Basically, you get the currency by farming Secret Realm stages, and you use those currency to roll for some rewards. Extra Get a Fate chances, which will start in the second week, then the week after that, extra Secret Realm chances. Lastly, a confession for Neo Zerida. I figured that I should put this out there for you stands out there, and sadly I don't even know what it looks like, so you're gonna have to wait. As for the new skins, the Echo of Light for Nymph and Tatalia. Nymph, I'm not really a fan of, but Tatalia design looks crazy. And it gets even more better with her sprite work. It's so sick. I feel like there's a lot more personality in her design compared to Nymph. Nymph is just one of those that looks so much better in her regular design. We got a little bit more. There's 2 more new skins that should be in the store for 188 skin vouchers, though in global, it might be changed to 118. Zerida and Hilda in the school themed outfits. Zerida design is pretty nice. It still captures her charm. Hilda's new skin also looking nice. I would say better than her Echo Light, arguably even better than her summer version, which some of you guys may call me out on that one. For me, I personally prefer her champion skin. That's just me though, mainly because it just looks so cool. With season 14 running its playoff in the global side right now. Season 15 is making its way, and at silver, you'll get the werewolf skin, and then at gold, you get a Lisa skin. Slong Games have been popping off with these skins lately. I think like half of them already that's coming this month has piqued my interest. I'm not sure if season 15 will begin this month. If not, then I'll reinform you guys about these 2 skins in the next update video. Then we ended off with a martial artist skin for the One Ring Duelist. Another nice looking one that is stylish, and the sprite work looks amazing. Well, there you guys have it. That should be about everything, if not most of everything that should be coming to the global side of Langrisser, major update number 59. The one character that I'm really looking forward to is Tatalia. One of the coolest characters that they put out in a while. There's quite a bit that I'm really excited for if I'm gonna be real here. Like the new skins, Corona, and especially the Endless Voyage. That gets even better with each new character that comes out. But that's all I really got for you guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. And let me know down in the comments how you guys feel about this update and what you guys are looking forward to. But yeah, thanks for watching. Your fellow Z.